welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk again about different kind of divine counterpart connections. I know I already have done a very in-depth video, and if you want to learn more about that, please check out my in-depth video as well. It is 2.5 hours long. I talk about astrology as well, about astrological markers, how you can, or that can help you identify different kind of divine counterpart connections. I'm doing this shorter video because for many people that whole lecture is a bit long. However, I do think it's important, and this video will be a bit different because there will be extra videos where I talk about my personal experiences with these specific kind of divine counterparts or high-level soul connections, because there's many people thinking that they have met a twin flame, and I get that because I have met high soul connections. And if at that point I would have read about twin flames, I would have labeled them that as well. And I hope that talking about my own experience can help you if you're not sure what you're dealing with, and because the energy can be quite similar. So when I talk about my personal experiences with that, again, that might help. This video, I'm not so much talk about my personal experiences. There will be extra videos, and I will always link them when I talk about that specific connection. This is more, again, not personal, what's the word, more like an overall view. So we're going to start with catalysts. Okay, a catalyst can be a high soul connection, and a catalyst can have different forms. A catalyst can come and they trigger you like crazy, and it can be kind of like toxic and teach you in that way to set up your boundaries and do your shadow work. That can happen. However, it doesn't have to be that way. I didn't experience that. For me, the catalyst, I have met 3 in my life. One was a soul twin. We're going to talk about that connection as well. The split twin, and then of course the monadic twin. And the difference between a catalyst connection and any other soulmate connection you can have is that you have some crazy development that is triggered by these connections. And we're going to talk more about these when I talk about the different soul types, because the thing is, when we're talking about soul twin, not every soul twin has to be a catalyst. That is what it was for me. So they can be 2 things at the same time. However, a catalyst can feel very much like a twin flame. They can have this sudden recognition. You will like the soul recognition. You feel that there's this connection that you cannot explain. Crazy intense. It can be crazy intense. It will most likely feel like something you have never felt before, or more than you have ever felt before, and they will trigger this awakening and or ascension journey. I say and or because the first will probably trigger like one awakening. However, you may have had awakenings before. There's more than just one awakening, and later on it's more like when you already are somewhat awakened, it will be the ascension journey where you get higher in your development. So a catalyst, again, it can be painful, doesn't have to be. A catalyst, there's maybe they will mirror you. If you have a fear of abandonment, they will be distant. If you have a lack of self-worth, that can come in different ways. If you have like a strong lack of self-worth, it can be toxic, because then you would, for example, attract like a narcissist. If you are not in that toxic energy that you would attract something toxic like that, then you would attract somebody who is, for example, not showing you how amazing you are, because they're not there. For example, they don't show you that. And a catalyst, again, they come to help you develop. However, when the job is done, they probably you will go separate ways. Okay. However, I said that my monadic twin flame is a catalyst as well. Yeah. And of course, you can have union with if it's more than just a catalyst. Again, a twin flame will be a catalyst, but not every catalyst is a twin flame. That's a distinction here. And if it's a twin flame, then it won't separate. But if they just came to awaken something inside of you, then it will separate. And then those are the people you will hear talking like, yeah, I met my twin flame and they awakened me, but now I don't want them anymore. They got someone else. I got someone else. They were not dealing with a twin flame, they were dealing with a catalyst, okay? Because a catalyst, a twin flame, this bond, it won't separate. Whereas a catalyst, it will separate. And by separate, I don't mean that you won't care about them anymore. You may care for them for the rest of your life, but you don't care about them in a romantic way anymore. And that's not what would happen with a twin flame. So again, a catalyst can be someone who is awakening you. I have to say, I won't make a specific video on catalysts, because in my experience the catalysts were again the soul twin, and I will make a specific video on that, the split twin and the monadic twin, and there will be videos on those. Okay, then another kind of a soul connection can be a mirror soul. A mirror soul will have a lot in common with you. Often you will find them in astrology that you will have a lot of the same signs. I did a video on Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, and I believe that they're mirror twins, and I have done another video on my personal experience with a mirror twin. It is not a setting like this, like I'm going to do the other 3 videos. I'm talking more about astrology. However, I do talk about my personal experience with a mirror twin in a separate video. I've already filmed that one, and yeah, that one, I don't know when I'm going to publish that one, but again, that one will talk a lot about astrology as well, if you're interested in that. However, a mirror twin, there's different levels of mirror twin, you could say, and if you want to know more, again, I do get into that in the other video. But a mirror twin can, yeah, let's say, like, I know it's stupid words I'm using right now, it's just to make it clear, but let's say a lower level twin, mirror soul, not twin. And by lower level, I don't mean that there's anything toxic or something like that, but we change our energies throughout our life, of course. You're not the same person in puberty than when you are in your 20s, than when you are in your 30s, than when you are in your 40s or 50s. We do change, and we will attract somebody who is where you are right now in that moment. Okay, and a mirror twin will have very similar energies to you in that specific moment. That's when what I say about lower energies, because they're more about these moments. And however, you can grow apart. That is something that can happen when you change and the other person stays stuck. Then you can grow apart, and then you are no longer mirror souls in that regard. So a mirror soul, it will feel somewhat familiar to you. And when I met my mirror soul, he was 1 day older than me, so we had basically almost all of the astrological signs in the same like placements. And I already thought, I didn't know anything about twin flames about that. I was like 17, 18, and I thought like, wow, he's so much like me. Of course, now astrology, he has every planet in the same sign. I'm not sure about the moon, but I think the moon as well. I don't think the rising sign though, so I think the houses were different. And I saw myself in him, because again, we were very much alike. However, it was like we were twins, and by twins I don't mean like twin flames. I didn't know about twin flames, like biological twins, you know, like how you would imagine twins to be. And I thought, I'm the good one, and he's the dark one. And by that I mean that he had the same attributes than me, but I chose to live the more nicer ones, and he was more choosing to live like the dark, the shadow ones. And so there was a lot of similarity going on, and you would recognize yourself in the other person. So a mirror twin will be a lot like you. In astrology, they will have a lot of the same placements than you, and the more same placements you have, the more your energy is alike. But you must never forget that what we are right now, it is just a tiny part of our energy. We do have a higher self. We do have different, our soul is going through different dimensions. And the more you have in common, the more you are the same in higher dimensions as well. And the earthly life can be more like fluctuating, is that the right word? Like changing. So that guy and I, we came down here with the same placements, meaning the same energy. However, we do have free will, so you can decide to go one way or the other way. And I chose one way. I chose spiritual awakening, and he didn't. So our path separated. That even though on higher levels we are very much the same, we are not so much on the earthly realm. So a mirror twin can be the same where you are in your life right now, but not so much like in the higher realms, like in the higher dimensions, or they are a lot alike in the higher dimensions, and you would only attract somebody who's a lot like you in the lower realms as well, the earthly realms. If you develop, then of course you will path ways, because you can only attract something that is mirroring you. So mirror twin would be a lot like a mirror soul. Sorry, I don't know why I say twin. I think some people call them mirror twins. You could do that, but again, it's not a twin flame. It can be a high level soul connection. It can be a divine counterpart, and that depends on where you are on your journey. If you still have a lot of shadows, that person is going to trigger the hell out of you and mirror that shadows because again, it's the same energy. And the same energy, it can be both. It can get stagnant, because if you're so much the same, then you're not developing, because we need similar energies but still different to develop. Or there's so much alike that you trigger each other like crazy. However, if you are awakened and you attract a mirror twin, that can be divine counterpart to grow old with. That can absolutely happen. Again, a twin, it's mirroring you where you are. I mean, everybody does. Everybody does. That's very important. But they will be a lot like you, and you will see yourself in the other person. Let's talk about soul twins. A soul twin is a beautiful connection, and I call them soul twins. And I didn't make that up. I saw a video. It was a German video on different kind of types of high soul connections that absolutely resonated with me. A soul twin, I actually saw that video after I had met my Monadic twin, so the third one, and that just explained to me like, oh my god, yeah, resonate. Now I understand. So it gave me that understanding of what happens to me. So the soul twin, I actually met him due to that mirror soul guy. He was a friend of that guy, and I met that one when I was 19. And again, I'm not going to talk too much about my personal stuff. There should be a link about right now where I talk about this specific connection to help you understand. There was definitely like love at first sight. There was soul recognition going on there, and for me he was a catalyst, so there was a development. However, a soul twin, it can be a catalyst, doesn't have to. Depends on your blueprints, your soul blueprint before you came here, on your soul contracts. A soul twin can be your divine counterpart to grow old with. Those are people often not recognize. People often, what's the word? Not compare. It's interchange is the wrong word. Confuse. Let's use the word confuse. Confuse them with twin flames, because this person, and that's why they are a soul twin, not a twin soul, a soul twin. They will have a lot of your energy as well. In astrology, usually a lot of trines. So if you're an earth sign, they would be one of the other two earth signs. If you're a water sign, they would be one of the other two water signs. Doesn't have to be like the sun, it could be the moon. But there's a lot of like trining energy, very harmonious. You get each other and you will meet them, and it will probably be the strongest connection you have had so far. And yeah, you will see yourself in that person as well. However, those are usually not toxic. Like a mirror twin can be toxic. Again, depends on where you are in your personal development. A soul twin is a very harmonious connection, very, very harmonious. Those are the kind of like twin flames that meet and they say like, yeah, we met and we were together right away and we stayed together and it was super harmonious. That's them. There can be growth with them as well. For me, he was a catalyst because I had fear of abandonment and he was not there. There was separation. However, he triggered an awakening. He was the reason why I started meditating, why I started to understand more. So I was already awakened when it comes to spirituality. I was born that way. I was always interested in that ever since I was a child, always. But he greatly enhanced this. And because of that, I started doing it professionally when I was like 23. I met that guy when I was 19, and he was the reason why I started reading tarot, meditating, talking to angels, because I needed answers, because all of a sudden there was this guy I felt connected to like never before in my life, and I didn't believe in love at first sight before I met him, and I was very cynical, and I would have married him the next day, and that was so not typical me. But there was a strong bond from day one that I have never experienced before. So of course that can be very easily confused with a twin flame, very easily, if you haven't experienced anything like this before. But again, it's usually very harmonious. There's no bad blood at all. There may be a separation if that is what's getting triggered to you, and those are the soul connections. If that would be your divine counterpart, meaning not a catalyst, you drew them in to grow old together, very harmonious. They would probably stay together for the rest of their lives. The only way they would separate is as friends, when they realize, okay, now we're just like living like brother and sister, because it's extremely harmonious. And I want a little bit more passion, maybe. Then that could be a reason when they separate at peace, because both realize, yeah, I love you, but it's not fiery enough, for example. That is something that could happen, but most likely they would grow old together. It's very harmonious. And again, it's those twin flames that met each other. They were together from day one. Very, very beautiful soul connection. And definitely divine counterpart connection. Then another one is the split twin flames. And again, if you want to learn more, I have this in-depth video about different kind of soul connection. This is kind of like racing through, because I know people nowadays don't have the energy or can focus long enough for an in-depth video. A split twin connection is, imagine when we were created as soul, there was one soul source, and that one split and split and split and split and split and kept on splitting, and a split twin flame would be the last split. So you were one soul, and then you split into two. However, you're not half souls. I always compare it to mitosis in biology, like when our cells split. You don't have two half cells, then you have two entire cells. Or you can also compare it to identical biological twins. You know that there's one fertilized egg, and that splits again. It's one cell until we're humans, and very on in the pregnancy, it splits into two embryos that grow on. So identical twins, they were one fertilized egg and one sperm. However, there's two people, and they're not half people. They're not just hopping around, each of them just having one leg, one arm, half a head. They're two people, okay, even though they were one fertilized egg and one sperm. So they're not half, and a split twin is not a half soul, okay. It's not the other half. It's, however, you do share one oversoul. They're from the same monad, and you share the oversoul, and they're connected through all of the chakras. And a split twin flame, oh, those are the painful twin flames. But careful, because can be confused with trauma bonding. Okay, very, very important. Split twin flames will have a sudden soul recognition as well, and I do have a video on my split twin. I'm going to record it, and maybe you already have seen the link up there, or you will see the link up there on my split twin experience, where I go into depth how that felt for me, that experience. However, split twin soul recognition, running and chasing, they will mirror you as well. And usually what gets mirrored is the fear of abandonment, hence we got the running and chasing dynamic. And also not toxic, they're not toxic connections, okay? They don't do anything to you. What hurts in this connection is that you projected something onto them, your desires, your needs, and they didn't give it to you, okay? And you're mad at them for not giving you what you wanted from them, and that's what's painful in these connections. And of course the journey goes on for both feel that there's something special going on, and those are the painful ones. But again, make sure it's not trauma bonding, make sure it's not that you're putting them on a pedestal. And I do have a video that is called something about the 3 factors of a twin flame, or how you know that you're dealing with a twin flame, not a catalyst or trauma bonding. Check out that video, please, for more information like that. But let's say you're dealing with a true, authentic split twin flame. What we hear in these connections is, when we are born here, we forget that we are all connected, that we all come from the same source, and we feel the separation from source, the disconnection from every other person around us. And it's this deep wound that we are born with, you could say. And those people who meet a split twin, meet them in order to feel that great pain. And you could all, it's something I'm just getting from spirit right now while I'm talking, you could say it's also like this connection happens, and that's again a download I just got, when the umbilical cord gets cut, because then we get physically separated from mom. When we are born, I mean, we're not single, we're attached to another human being during pregnancy, and all of a sudden that is cut, it's cut away from us, and that can cause some kind of a trauma of being separated all of a sudden, being your own individual all of a sudden. And this deep wound is, when your soul wanted to heal that, you would attract the split twin flame experience. I want to call it an experience, and that has to be triggered by the other person, that you have felt more connected than ever before, because again, you are connected throughout the chakras. There is many bonds between you and this person, and again, you were one, you share an oversoul, and then that was split. And the running and chasing dynamic, the pain, and it's so painful, it's so painful. Again, there is going to be a video where I talk about my personal experience with this divine counterpart connection. This it's extremely painful. I can honestly, stumbling over my words when I think back, I almost didn't survive it, to be honest. It was that painful. It was really painful. And that pain is important because we heal the pain of separation from everything around us. And so again, it's not the other person's fault for running, it's your soul chose to have this experience. And once we have healed that pain, 2 things can happen. If this person was a catalyst, for me it was a catalyst for the monadic twin flame. However, monadic twin flames are very, 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 very rare, so the chance that you are one as well, it's there, but it's slim. It's a very rare soul connection, this template. Not many souls chose this one. Most souls that are on a authentic twin flame journey, and I'm saying again authentic because I feel like most people who think that they are on a twin flame journey are not. It's trauma bonding for many. Others are dealing with a mirror twin or a soul twin and label it a twin flame. But again, if they're happy, that's fine. Labels are only problematic if you label someone falsely a twin flame and they're not, and you have that kind of pain, you know, if it's like a toxic connection. If you label someone you love and you're in a happy relationship a twin flame and they're not, no harm done, it's whatever. It's the problem is labeling them when it's toxic. And a split twin flame will not be toxic, however very painful, because they will have to leave and they will tell you, I don't love you, and you see it in their eyes that it's a lie. You know, it's like your whole soul is screaming that's not true, and it's not your ego that's screaming. That's the difference. It's not your ego like, no, I don't want to hear it. You feel your ego would more likely be like, fine, then I can just get over it because I don't want to deal with it anymore. Your ego doesn't want this connection after a while. It's your soul that's screaming that is not true. And that is one of the lessons you have to learn, to really go within yourself and get your answers there, and not getting them what the other person says, because the other person is only a projection of your fears and not telling the truth. The truth is inside of you, and that's one of the reasons why nobody else can tell you if you're dealing with a twin flame or not. It's something that you have to feel from the inside. All I can give you is hints, okay? I can give you clues. I can tell you some things that you are not dealing with a twin flame if that is the case, you know, but in the end it's always something you will know. So a split twin flame comes into your life to heal that loss, that intense pain. Usually a split twin flame or split twin flames come in with some kind of family trauma, some kind of family wound, family karma, and ancestral karma, you could say, and they are supposed to heal that, because there's probably some wound has happened in the childhood that had to happen to attract that dynamic, because you can only attract somebody that is mirroring that into you. So a split twin, if they want to heal that great pain, then something painful usually happened in childhood, some kind of trauma, and a twin flame usually comes to help heal that karma, to end the ancestral, like to heal for the entire family, that it ends with them, to clear that karma, not just for yourself but also for the rest of the family. So it is basically not an easy connection in the beginning. It's painful, and you volunteered for it, believe it or not. You raised your hand, you're like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll go in one, I'll take one for the rest of the family. I'll heal that ancestral karma. And so it's, yeah, painful until you have healed it. And again, in that video about my journey, I will tell you how I healed that. Because if you are a monadic twin flame, you have to have healed that stuff in order to attract your true monadic twin flame, because you cannot attract a monadic twin flame if you still have that stuff inside you, that great pain. Not possible, because it's a very high vibrating connection, and the old pain is very low vibrating, and you cannot attract that high connection when you still have that low emotional stuff within you, that baggage. Again, a split twin is a high connection as well, but it comes to mirror that. Another thing with a split twin, you probably have, before you meet them, you most likely have met other catalysts before to prepare you for that connection. Even if it was not a soul twin, like in my case, it could have been another kind of a catalyst connection, but you will get somewhat prepared for that. So yeah, the monadic twin flame. A monadic twin flame is a soul connection, the closest one you can have. It is one that you can only attract once you have gone through all of the, or at least maybe let's say like 95% or 99% of that pain. And a monadic twin flame, you share the same soul. A split twin flame, you share the same oversoul, you split, and you each are your own soul. A monadic twin flame, same soul incarnated in two bodies. So only the lower part, the lower dimensional part of our being, is incarnated in different bodies. So whereas a split twin flame is connected through all of the chakras, monadic twin flames share their energy centers, they share the same chakras. And again, I do have the longer video where I talk about astrology, also about split twin flames, how you astrological markers. A monadic twin flame, there may be a separation. However, it won't be painful anymore because you already have been through that. A monadic twin flame may still trigger you, but it's in a different way. And again, I talk about my personal experience in the separate video. A monadic twin flame will not do anything to you, like the running and chasing. There may be a separation, yes, in order for you to heal some more stuff, to prepare yourself, but you won't, I'm not gonna say you won't miss them. Yeah, you will long for them, but I think there's a difference between longing and missing. It's like you want them by your side, but you're not in pain when they're not. That's like the difference. And because you are connected, you feel always connected to that person. So there is not this sense of longing, there isn't this pain, there isn't the crying so much like it was in the split twin flame. And when I say they trigger you, then it's not because they do anything. It is, for example, it's not my personal example, but let's say, for example, as a child, you were bit by a dog. And then you meet your twin flame and they have that specific kind of dog, the specific breed, is it called a breed? Breed. And you didn't even think like that would still be in your shadows. And all of a sudden you are confronted with that dog. And now you have to heal that. So that's nothing that your twin flame does to you. It just, they have this kind of dog that is triggering you. And now you have to deal with that fear. Or let's say there is a religion, you thought, yeah, I don't like this kind of religion or this kind of culture, and you may be biased, and then your monadic twin flame is coming from that specific culture or country or whatever it is. And again, it's not a personal experience, it's just something I make up right now, but it is something that you maybe have been biased, and now you have to deal with that bias within yourself. One thing that is personal is age gap. So I have healed that fear of loss, that pain in my split twin connection. However, then I was confronted with a monadic twin flame that's a huge age gap. It's almost 20 years, it's 19 years apart. So I will turn 40 this year. He's in the end of his 50s, and I was thinking like, oh my god, so we met that late, and how many years do we have? 10, 20, I don't know. I can't grow old with him because there's this huge age gap, and we know women usually in average grow older than men. So it's like, I'm gonna be alone for the last 3 decades of my life. So that triggered fear of loss as well, but in a different way. It was like, I don't want to spend the last 3 decades of my life without him. However, then I learned about manifesting. Again, a monadic twin flame is a catalyst. You will also develop. You will, for me, it was more about ascension. He was the reason why I learned more about astrology, like really got into it. He was the reason I learned about manifestation. He triggered this. He's the reason why I started YouTube, basically, because I was always scared, and because of this connection I learned to face my fears. Spirit kind of like was in my ears to do my YouTube channels for years, until I finally gave in, and he was one of the reasons. So you will have this major ascension, but again, they will have something about them. Then for me, one thing that was triggered is that I was always very independent, and there's class differences, like huge money differences, and I was scared because I had made the experience that people try to control it with money, And now there's this guy who's loaded, and many women will say, yeah, rich guy, and I'm like, oh no, what if he tries to control him? And now I know a twin flame would never do that, but there was like this fear of not of being, or like, let's say if he doesn't even live in my continent, if he wanted to meet, and I'm like, yeah, I can't afford like a plane ticket all the time, so I would depend on him to get that. And I'm an aqua moon, so I am extremely scared of being dependent on anyone, and I never wanted to be because money. Never wanted to have a rich guy, to be honest, because money gives you power, and I don't like the imbalance. If there is someone in power, I always rather wanted it to be me and not the other person. So that is something I had to learn to accept. So again, that's nothing that's toxic. There's nothing he does to me. It is just circumstances. And that's in the monadic twin flame, what's triggering you can be circumstances, not the other person. Nothing the other person ever does. They don't do anything wrong to you. They're the perfect match. You will absolutely adore them. And the more you learn about them, you feel like, oh my God, this person is exactly like me. They think like me. They're like me. They're me. And you will realize, if I could make up a person, if I could make a wish, it would be exactly that person. It would be 100% that person. It's just some outer circumstances that trigger you, and you have to learn to accept. So that's a major thing. Again, there's nothing toxic at all. It will be basically like, you will see them like an angel, because it will be this amazing person, big-hearted person, kind person, because again, a monadic twin flame is very, very high frequency, which doesn't mean that they don't have any faults. Like, we are all humans, nobody's perfect, but they will have this high frequency. There will be an amazing, kind-hearted human being. And yeah, again, another thing that's important with a monadic twin flame, you won't have the urge to ask others for guidance, because you are so much connected to your spirit's team that you will be guided. So there won't be like any, oh, I need help with this and that. That could happen still, like in the split twin flame, especially at like the shadow period. It's okay to get coaching, everybody. It is, I'm a coach, I tell you, it's okay to get coaching, honestly. When I was going through that, I wish that there were people who knew as much as I know now, because I was like in this wave. There weren't many people before me. I didn't know anybody before me. There was like, once in a while I found a good YouTube video, even though I didn't search, but I didn't have a lot of guidance. I had to go through all of that myself and figure it out myself. So now you have the advantage that there's people who have gone through that, and they can give you some kind of guidance. And I noticed this video is like 40 minutes already, almost. Shoot, I wanted it to be shorter. So it's okay to get guidance, but in a monadic twin flame, you won't feel like you have to get guidance. You are guided by the universe. You're guided by spirit, like every step. At least most of the time. Of course, sometimes you will have bad days. They will be very rare, because again, you already will have dealt with major parts of your junk. But it's more like a smooth sailing, basically. There will be some kind of triggering. Again, I mentioned it. What can trigger? Yeah, anyway, that's I noticed my battery is running low. It was less than 10%, and we ended here. Please check out the other videos where I talk more about my personal experience. I think that is important, because then you can relate. Here I just wanted to give more like an objective view of each different kind of soul connection. I hope this video helps, and I wish you all the best, and I see you in another video or in personal coaching. Bye bye.